Hey guys, Ashley Evans-Smith here with Mike Saffaie. We've got another Rebel vlog for you. I'm excited about this one because I've actually trained myself with Mike. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on him. He is a IFBB pro competitor in the men's physique. He is also a strength and conditioning coach for MMA and other athletes. He is a BJJ brown belt, a fitness enthusiast if you ever talk to him. And is there anything else I'm missing?
No, you nailed it. Thanks for having me. I actually feel honored to be talking to you.
Honored. We only got a couple followers, but maybe that'll grow and then you can feel honored. But right now it's building. So thank you for being here.
No, I really appreciate it. So I'm excited.
No problem. So I like to start with a background on everybody. I just told everybody what you do now, but I like to kind of dive into how you got into that. So just tell me a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up, and then just tell me a bit about your childhood. Were you always into sports, something like that?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Las Gatas in Saratoga in NorCal, and I moved to SoCal when I was about 11 years old. You know, the whole family divorce thing. And so within that time living with my father in NorCal, he would run us. I come from a large family. My dad has 14 kids from, different parents. And the Tribe 5, which is the Saffaie clan in the South Bay, we were actually very good at running. That's what my dad did. We used to run 3 to 6 miles 6 days a week. And I was actually pretty good at the mile. So I was running a 5:55 mile in elementary school, and I was going to try for the Junior Olympics. And back then, that was a good time. I don't know how it is now, but
that's amazing. I couldn't do that.
Well, it's funny because I was really my dad really pushed it. So we came over here, and we always had an inclination to be strong. One funny story, I remember the first day my dad brought weights and how excited he was. And so we started working out, and then eventually, I just wanted to play outside or just do other things besides work out. And one day he was just like, Michael, you want to go work out? And I was like, no. He goes, okay, then go clean the dog shit. And I was like, okay, I'll work out. He goes, good. Go clean the dog shit and then go work out. So that's kind of how it is in a nutshell. He's not like a strong, ripped guy. He's more philosophical, but he definitely believed in fitness. And to be honest, I don't even think he knew what he was building within his kids.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I don't know your family too well. I know a couple of your siblings, and they are all extremely fit. It is definitely what'd you call them, the Saffaie 5?
Yeah, the Saffaie tribe or something like that. I don't know.
No, it's awesome. He's got a brother who is also a competitor in what?
Yes. Yeah, my brother Arya, he's an actual 3-time Olympian, IFBB pro, men's physique athlete, and we're all proud of him in our family. So we all support each other. It's funny because we're the same, but we're also different in regards to which route we went. And so we made the best of our own little journey in life, Things weren't easy all the time, but for the most part, for how it turned out, we're all happy, and we're very close. And so, yeah, health, fitness, and happiness is kind of what we stand by.
That's awesome. So, his name is Arya, right? Such a cool name. Arya is a competitor as well. And so you used to compete. I know actually that you're getting back into competing. Can you tell us a little bit how you started to get into actually competing, not just lifting weights?
Yeah. So the competitor aspect, it's funny. I started competing first in 2011. Men's physique was a new division, and I was looking at these physiques because at the time it's changed. And so I was like, I can do this. I don't have to do drugs. I don't have to be a big person. And I'm going to try this. So I went there. The first show I did, I took second place. And I kind of lost to the hometown hero based on politics, I personally feel. Don't tell him. But then throughout time, I was telling my brother, fuck, you should do this. You should do this. And it just took him to actually commit to it. He did it. And he was surprised by how well he looked, like everyone else, including myself. And so how it flipped was, he actually is one of the, not just more successful than I am, one of the most successful bodybuilders in the world. And it changed his life. And it's just so funny how competitive sports, if you consider it a sport, can really give people subjective purpose to, become better within themselves.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think, I'm a mixed martial artist, I'm a fighter, and a lot of fighters that I've talked to since I've been doing it for a long time tend to come from a hard background, and this sport, and I do believe that bodybuilding and competitive lifting is a sport. Totally, it takes dedication, but I believe that it definitely brings out the best in you and gives you purpose. And sometimes the harder the background, the tougher the individual, and the more successful they've become. So you are definitely one of those examples.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So I know that, you know, it's very, I don't know what you call it. You know, most people, they see a bodybuilder or a figure competitor and they automatically think steroids, or anyone buff, you know, MMA athletes, anyone, and they think steroids. And I think that you and your brother and, you know, your tribe has got a lot of accusations for steroids. And I know that you guys are all natural competitors. So how do you deal with that? And does that make you upset?
Initially it did. And it's funny because until it happened, it hasn't happened. So you live your life and you're doing this thing, and then somewhere out of the blue one day, someone says steroids. So there's a first time for everything. And I remember the first time I heard that was when in transition from freshman to sophomore year. I was in the ocean, and I saw this guy that would kind of actually bully me on the soccer field. And he asked me, dude, are you taking steroids? And I was like, still 5'0", but I was like, fuck no, you know, because the way my father raised us was like, you know, drug-free, alcohol-free, you know, steroids, stand up for the national anthem. It was straight up like clean stuff. So I'll never forget that. That's the first time. And then it started happening more and more and more. And then you get these cliche sayings sometimes, oh, take it as a compliment. It means this and that. But, you know, it's funny. It's a reduction of like work ethic, in my opinion, because people have limitations in their mind. And when they say you're on steroids, they're looking at you and they're applying their limitations onto yourself, which is why they think you can't do it, because they can't do it if you break it down to the core. And so it can get a little annoying, but you know what? Like anything, after a while, it just becomes like air. You know, you're just used to hearing it. So I hear it, I see it. It doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't make me respond in any way. It's just the normal life, and I don't blame them. Shit, if I saw myself, I might think so too. You know what I mean? So be it. It is what it is, and I accept it for the package because there's so many other like positive things that come with it. And so at the end of the day, I really know what it is. It's people setting their limitations onto you. That's really it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, you know, I think a lot of people don't understand that a lot of the reason you look the way you look, and I think your family members as well, is because you guys stay consistent. I've talked to you personally. I've talked to some of your family members, and you guys, you know, you don't really, there's no off seasons for the Saffies. There's not really a cheat day, you know? And so I guess my next question is, how do you stay so disciplined with your diet?
Oh, man, it's weird. There's like a cool saying. It's like, my sickness is my health. It's not, yeah, it's not even up to me. It's mainly, I can't help it. There's this relentless desire to always be better. I'll be 39 coming up, and I don't feel like my cup is even close to being full in regards to my potential. And so I have already accepted the fact that my brain is going to destroy my body because I'll never quit. I'm never going to quit. And my goal is to become the best version I can be throughout each chapter. I can't compare myself to where I was in my 20s, and I know that. So there's chapters in life, like 3, 4, 5 years, and within each chapter, I'm always trying to just become the best within that. So to be honest, I feel like my father instilled something in us, and now we have valued it so much. It's like hardwired to look at ourselves and to always not just look well, but perform well. Performance is how it all started, actually. Running is a performance thing. But we also were intrigued by He-Man and like Thundercats and stuff like that. I swear to God, it's like that's how we see it. I wanted to look like those dolls that I had, you know? So it has so much to do with how you grow up.
Well, it sounds like it's very deep-rooted, and I think that is probably why you and all your siblings look the way you look. You know, everybody who likes to compete, they have the off-season or whatever, but imagine if you didn't have an off-season, this is what you would look like. You would just be one of the tribe members. So you've been doing this for almost 20 years. How do you keep that passion? Because, you know, we'll get to this, but you have this new facility here at the Gracie Academy. It's amazing. You're training all these fighters. Like, did you ever like want to quit, you know, the fitness industry? How do you keep that spark alive?
Yeah, so there came a point in my life where, I mean, fitness doesn't pay well. There's no pension plan. There's nothing. It's kind of like you just got to you know, be hopeful that you were accepted and just go with it. And I've been fortunate enough to, and that's because I've been honest with myself and people that I work with. But I have been training people for 20 years. There was a time that, you know, I wanted to become like a police officer and go that route, the more safe route. But in reality, you know, thankfully to my family, my sister Roxana especially, she's just like, fuck no, like, dude, you're so good at what you do, don't give up. And it's just like, I mean, I don't believe in meant to be or magic or anything like that. So that day that I decided I'm not going to, then I get a phone call and I work with a very successful person, and it just gave me that much more like of a spark to say, nah, you got this shit. And you're right, and now I'm sitting here, I get to work with my best friends, the Gracies and Torrance, and so this is like my home from home. I get to go home, go to jiu-jitsu, and go to the gym, and the last two places are in one. So it's like my life is very structured, and I love it that way. It's fun.
That's awesome. And before we actually segue into the Gracie Academy of Jiu-Jitsu, my last question is, I'm not too familiar with how many times you competed. I do know you have some amazing accolades. You were, sorry if I get it wrong, but #1 in natural men's physique and some other things. And you can list a couple of those right now. Actually, yeah, what did you get?
Yeah, so no, I've taken first place in the Ironman Natural. I won Mr. California 2013. I won SoCal's Best Abs. And yeah, I mean, just within time, I've developed like, you know, first, second, third, fourth. And in bodybuilding, the way it works is top 5 is like the goal. First through 5th, you're taking home trophies. And people ultimately, they want first. But when you're in that first lineup for that top 5, it's like one of the best feelings that within that moment. That's when your nerves are the highest, because they call you out. And the way it works is people, when you're in the middle, you don't want to be moved. And you're fucking trying to hold a pose and a cheesy smile, and you're like thinking, don't move me, don't move me, don't move me. And so that whole anticipation factor happens. And yeah, anywhere within top 5, just to be on stage is a big deal. Not to sound corny, but the top 5 mark, I've been there many times, more than I have not, as well as my brother. And we look forward to continue that, you know, I guess you could say that placement by just working our ass off.
Yeah. And my last question about bodybuilding is just, you stopped at a certain point. When I met you and we started training, you weren't preparing for anything, but now you are. Can you tell us why you stopped and why you started again? What's going on there?
Yeah, I got a little discouraged at some point, and the reason why was because I just felt like at that moment I was doing all I could do, and what had really happened was actually I did well. The last time I competed was in Sacramento, and I took first in the Masters Division, you know, and like I brought this big ass trophy home, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking get bigger, because you got to go off season, and I'm gonna do the bodybuilding thing. And in my life, I've never not seen lines on my stomach, and it's a complex. It's a severe complex.
Your what was it? Your sickness is your health.
Yeah. So I was like, I was looking at myself, and like I was seeing myself get softer than usual, and then I was like, no, it's okay. But in the back of my mind, I was like going fucking crazy.
Where are my lines?
Straight up. And then I came to train jiu-jitsu, and holy shit, muscle is not forgiving whatsoever on the mat. And I gassed out within minutes. I developed a temporary phobia. I got claustrophobic, which was depressing in itself. I kept it inside when people put me in side control, and it was one of the worst experiences ever, because one of the things I had pride with jiu-jitsu wasn't so much my talent, but my ability to find comfort in discomfort, and I lost that. And then when I fucking felt that, I was like, fuck muscle, fuck bodybuilding, fuck the world, just jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu. And then it just naturally kind of, you know, I went to see my brother compete in the Olympia, and I was like, I can do this. I just had 2 elbow surgeries recently, and now I'm back doing it. You know what I mean?
Amazing. Well, I'm rooting for you, obviously. And so all this talk about jiu-jitsu, tell us a little bit how you got started. I mean, why did you start doing jiu-jitsu, and did you always train here at the Gracie Academy?
Actually, a funny story. The very first time I had my jiu-jitsu experience was I did a jiu-jitsu competition with 0 experience. I told myself, I'm strong and I don't have to get punched in the face. And I did kind of well. I lost, but what happened, I saw CD-ROM of Hoist Gracie showing like a guillotine or something, and like I almost had a guy in a submission. It didn't work out, but I did well enough with zero experience, to where I thought, dude, if I get 3 lessons in, I'm actually going to beat somebody. Because I just thought it was like swimming. If you can swim in 4 feet, you can swim in 1,000 feet. I didn't understand that, like, everybody's different. The second competition I did, I almost got my arm broken, and it was bad.
Did you have just 2 DVD test sessions now, or what?
No, I took a few. So what happened was I went to a school, and I did like 3 classes, literally 3 classes. And I thought, like, oh, I'm ready. And the coach at the time was believing in me, and I had no fucking business being there. And this kid, like, he arm locked me, and I remember I actually got disqualified because I slammed him on his head. I didn't even know how to tap, really, it felt like. Right? You learn how to tap when you fucking train, right? There's like a sense of like intelligence to develop tap. But I remember hearing my arm pop, and my arm still can't go straight, you know? And it's like, fuck, I almost broke my arm. And then I remember I couldn't do a pull-up. I was literally looking at my arm saying, I'm sorry, I'll never do that to you again. Because I love pull-up. I couldn't even do what I love anymore.
You love your body.
Yeah, I did.
You talk to your body.
Like it's a separate object, like the way people talk to a car. Yeah. The brain is the driver, and the vehicle is the body.
So if I tell my gut, go away, it'll go away?
We wish it was that easy. But no, first of all, you don't have a gut. So, but no, it's like, dude, if you're sick enough, you'll suffer and do what it takes to accomplish your goal, and I'm sure you fucking know that more than anybody.
Well, okay, so you train jiu-jitsu now, and you love it, and you clearly learned how to take a class and learn that it's a learning process and all that, so that's amazing. You're now a brown belt. So how many years have you been training exactly with the Gracies?
About 12 years now. So how I came to the academy was after my arm healed up, I decided, you know, fucking the sport is a lot more serious than I gave it respect for, but this is gonna sound cheesy, but fuck it. Like, I didn't want to lose my 6-pack, and I understood like fitness. So I was like, all I have to do is walk into a building, and like the way people train jiu-jitsu athletes, some of them have the most like amazing torsos because they're doing little micro sit-ups for like 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes. So you're getting endurance, like cardio training, you're sweaty, and you're doing little micro crunches. So I'm like, I can just walk into a building, walk out, and not have to worry about it. I don't have to do any more sit-ups. And that's what I did. And yeah, and one of my friends, you know, he's not here with us anymore, but he walked me in there, and then I developed an amazing relationship with Heater and Henner, and from then, fucking, it just took over. It just became, it actually pulled me away from surfing. It's weird how it like happened. There's nothing more like I don't know, stimulating than like getting a submission on somebody when you've never done it before. So I started loving that feeling. But still not believing in it. It's weird. I didn't believe in the art like as if, I should say I didn't believe in myself using it. I didn't know if I got into a street altercation, like how it would perform, because I've been in, you know, street fights before in the past, and it was always like, you know, just cheesy, like, oh, I'm going to punch this and that, but I never knew how I would respond, like if I was actually going to do some jiu-jitsu shit. But it took me until I got my purple belt when I was like, they have a cool class called Fight Simulation. That's when I realized, holy shit, no, I'm actually like doing this. And how I learned that is we have this game, like you have to be a good bad guy. And that means you have to do the wrong things. And I realized it's hard for me to do the wrong things now, which means that like I'm set to do the right things. And that's how I realized that I would defend myself and use my reflexes that I've developed here. So
that's good. So all this jiu-jitsu, 12 years of jiu-jitsu, now you're training fighters. And I guess first tell us, you know, I know you probably train multiple fighters, but can you list off a couple fighters that you train? And yeah, I've
worked with some of the greatest athletes in the world. Anderson Silva, Fabricio Werdum, Carla Esparza. I've worked with yourself, Brian Ortega, Christos Iagos, John Paul, he's up and coming. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Nothing but love. Sorry. Yeah.
He's Mufasa. I don't know.
Yeah. And if I'm forgetting anybody, I can't. You know, my apologies.
I wanted to you know, show them that you work with a lot of high-level fighters. And do you think that the jiu-jitsu experience that you have helps out the training of the fighters?
Oh yeah, I believe you fucking need to be a student, or at least partially a student of the craft that you're deciding to like at least teach. You know, one of the best analogies I've ever heard was if you're trying to learn a foreign language, You can study it in a book, but until you get out there and start trying to communicate like the way real people do, you're never going to fully understand the concept of that language.
Immersion, right?
I don't know.
Immersion. It's completely diving into something so that you learn it faster. So you travel somewhere and you're immersing yourself into the culture, and you have to learn it.
There you go. You learn something new.
Okay. Well, so if you had to describe your type of training, I've trained multiple strength and conditioning coaches throughout my career. Some people, they don't do the best, so it's a lot of Olympic lifting, or it's a lot of this, and some people go flip a tire. I mean, I don't know how you would break it down, but if you had to describe the way that you train fighters, could you do that?
Yeah, I have the ability to relate to them mentally first, and that's a big deal. It doesn't mean that I'm going to get along with everybody. Some people there's a place for everybody and every style everywhere. You're lucky if you find it. That's how I see it. And so one of the first things I like to see or assess within an athlete is, do we get along? Mm-hmm. Just recently I saw somebody, and within 10 minutes, not to say that it was anyone's fault, but I'm like, this ain't gonna work. Mm-hmm. And so dealing with people and understanding the way they work, seeing how they stress out, because it happens, there's ups and downs, there's like a give and take that you have to understand, and that's more valuable than any fucking movement in the world. It's kind of like, if you don't like broccoli, it doesn't matter how good it is for you. Sometimes I can try to convince you how good it is for you, but you're not going to eat it. So you got to figure out something else, or the second best or third best, whatever it is down the line. And that's what I always try to do. I try to relate to the athlete to where it's like they believe in what they're doing, believe in what we're doing, I should say. So when they step in the octagon or in the ring or anywhere for that matter, they feel that they did everything possible to make themselves prepared for that situation.
I completely agree. I think that compatibility or chemistry is completely necessary in any relationship, and coach and athlete is not the exception. It's actually probably the most important to me in my life, because my career is my most important thing in my life. So yeah, that's amazing that you can actually relate to a lot of the people, and not everybody's cup of tea. That's fine. So that's good. As far as, so each fighter fights differently. I don't fight the way Carla fights. Carla doesn't fight the way Anderson Silva fights, and Anderson Silva doesn't fight the way Brian Ortega fights. So do you train all of your fighters the same way, or do you change it up a little bit?
What's funny is that, like, a bench press is a bench press. How you use the bench press, weight load, repetitions, like tempo as far as speed, can be the difference. So I don't have any type of proprietary movements or any type of like cookie cutter approaches. You might find yourself using certain elements of exercises of what other athletes do, and maybe not. So to answer your question, at a whole, no, I would not say that I train everybody the same, which is why I kind of frown on large group classes, unless it's like specific for like, high heart rate training or something. But if you're a striker, you don't want to train somebody like a grappler. And not only that too, some people like to train for the athlete they're competing against. If you're going to compete against like a high active athlete that has crazy endurance, you're going to have to change the game for what you did last time or what you're going to do next time. So because it's so chaotic, especially in the MMA world, I call it random chaos. There's no real way to prepare for it besides actually doing it. All we can do is look to see how close we can get to what we anticipate the situation to be like. And that's doing so with your style, not to recreate you or to make you better in the way I think you would be better. Because I feel like, I was just telling Carla this recently, from what I heard, some people overstep their boundaries as far as their expertise. I'm a strength conditioning coach. I don't teach you how to punch, right? And that's the way it should work. I respect everybody's, like, I guess you can say, skill. And so if you keep it simple and honest, it's fucking meat and potatoes. Works out pretty well.
Good, yeah. I think you're having a lot of success. I mean, a lot of these fighters, Anderson, Werdum, like there's a lot of high-level fighters that are putting their faith and their trust and their career on you. So I think you're doing great. And I guess my last question is just, now that you're back in competition mode and you're training all these fighters and you have this new beautiful facility and you're probably getting people coming in and dealing with that, how do you juggle it all? And does it interfere with your own situation as far as training goes?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny. I thought it would be more difficult, but the worst thing in the world for a competitor, in my opinion, is free time. So if I'm fucking sitting at home and there's nothing to do, it's like, holy shit, what should I do? Because I'm waiting for my next meal to eat. But if I have something to do, you know, it helps. And then the family is a big deal, and fucking like everything at a whole like comes together. So I love the people I work with, and I love what I do. And that's what in my life, I try to find as many like positive like moments or situations, and I just kind of like use my free time to, you know, listen to philosophy or just something to help me keep my interest going, because shit, I definitely have ADHD and time goes by real slow when you're bored.
Well, yeah, you are definitely a positive person. Actually, Mike was very, very nice. And when I injured my arm recently, I remember he said, if you can't do what you love, love what you can do.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He's a happy person, very positive. So that's it, Mike. I'm sorry that we talked so long to keep you. But well, I just want to let everyone know, if they want to train with you or come see the facility, do you have a website or a phone number?
My website right now is actually down, but just Mike Saffaie, Saffaie. You can call me 310-218-9658. And find me on Instagram, same name, Mike Saffaie, and just hit me up. If it takes me a second to get to you, it's not personal. And, you know, I'll do my best to help you help yourself.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, you have your own competition, all these fighters, so he will get back to you. And then lastly, I mean, I don't know if it's the same with you, but do you have any sponsors or anyone, the Academy, that you want to thank?
Yes, I definitely want to thank my wife, first of all, Jessica, the Gracie Academy in Torrance, because they allow me to be here. My family, I love my family. They're everything to me.
The tribe.
The tribe, right? Friends and athletes such as yourself that put your trust in me, because there's a lot of stress. Just everybody that believes in me, whether you come to me to support me or you come to me to fucking ask me for some type of knowledge, it gives me purpose. It makes me think harder. It gives me the perfect amount of stress in my life to where I'm thinking about you guys all the time in regards to how I can help yourself. And so, you know, you guys are my sponsors. So thank you.
You're welcome, Mike. Thank you for doing the interview. Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.